the vast majority of the human population, the human species, the human specimen and speciwoman never actually experienced hunger. And what we usually perceive and interpret as hunger is not hunger. And here is another one for you. Thirst and hunger are interpreted the same way by the brain. Meaning, a lot of times when you think you're hungry, think like this. Think you had a pack of crisps and a chocolate bar. And an hour later, you're hungry. You've got to go get something to eat because that was a snack. You know, a snack, it's not enough. Not enough calories, man. There's not enough calories. It's just a pack of crisps and the chocolate bar. It's not enough calories. It's just a snack. An hour later, you're like, I'm hungry. I'm going to go get something to eat. No, you're thirsty. You're thirsty. You think you're hungry, but you're thirsty. Of course you're thirsty because you had a pack of crisps and a chocolate bar. So you're thirsty. If you don't believe me, go Google right now. I know Uncle Google lies a lot to us, but okay, some things. Go look up on Google. Thirst and hunger signals. They're the same. Okay, they're the same. Or let's say very, very similar. So after you've had a pack of crisps and a chocolate bar, an hour later, 2 hours later, you're not hungry, you're thirsty. You don't believe me? Okay, next time you do that, grab like a half a liter to a liter of water or anything liquidy, whether it's a fruit juice or coconut water or just water, okay? They're all water anyway, like coconut water is like water, 95% water. Same with like a fruit juice, a vegetable juice. Anyway, get something, you know, something watery and drink like half a liter to a liter. Gone. Hunger gone. You're not hungry anymore. And what's left over is craving, so you may still be craving something. But even the craving itself will actually drastically be reduced if you simply drink. If every time you think you're hungry, you drink, you're gonna be consuming a lot less. You're going to be consuming a lot healthier because eventually you're going to realize that anything you take in that's dehydrating you is actually like sucking water out of your body and is making you basically chronically dehydrated, chronically thirsty. And you're going to, if you actually do that, if you stay well hydrated, and if, let's say after you eat any meal, you drink half a liter to a liter of water, you're going to notice very quickly, you have less cravings, less hunger, because you're never hungry in the first place. Let's fix the lighting here. You were never really hungry in the first place, okay? Second of all, even cravings for you know, after you eat a pack of crisps, chips, right? I got in the habit of saying crisps because, you know, Miranda lived in the UK for so long and she started saying crisps, and you know, people living in North America, we call them chips, you know, potato chips, Lay's and stuff like that. When you eat them, they make you thirsty, but you think you're hungry, so then you go and you get something, another thing that's dehydrating. There's a weird like law of momentum in all of creation. If you're on a momentum of, let's say, eating dehydrating foods, when you think you're hungry or whatever, you go and eat something dehydrating. It's like a momentum. It's weird, but when you start hydrating yourself, you'll start to realize, you're getting less hungry because you're not hungry, and you're getting less cravings also because you're more hydrated. Because actually what you're craving when you think, I'm hungry, I'm gonna go get something to eat, you're craving water, you're craving hydration. So, hunger. You don't actually get hungry for a long time. That's why I say most humans never experience hunger. Because if you don't give your body any food with calories in it, that's a whole different myth. We'll talk about it in another video. But let's go along with the illusion here and say, okay, let's say you don't put anything in with calories. Your body has a ton of fat to use for energy. You don't actually go hungry for weeks probably. That's why kinds of people out there are fasting, water fasting for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 40 days, you know, It's a thing now. Because they can. It's not that difficult. Your body's got a ton of fat that it can use for energy. You were never really hungry, ever in your life, chances are. You were either thirsty, that's the highest likelihood, highest probability that you're thirsty. That's real. That's real. And how do you know this? I'm telling you, if you start hydrating yourself, if every time you thought you're hungry, you grabbed, 2 to 4 cups of liquids, half a liter to a liter, let's say, and you drank, you're gonna realize I'm less hungry because it's not hunger, and you're gonna realize you even have less cravings. You're more hydrated. Your body's actually craving hydration. You see? So you have to do this for yourself to believe. If you don't have to believe me, just try this out. Okay? Now the other thing, the growling in the stomach. That's a funny one, right? Oh, I'm growling, I'm hungry. Right. So that growling you experience is the body is moving unprocessed foods or foods in the intestines that are, it's almost their time to leave out of your neat asshole. Okay, it's almost time, so the body's moving them. Usually this growling happens when you haven't eaten for a while, right? If you're intermittent fasting around 14th, 15th, 16th hour, you notice, you begin to feel this growling, right? You feel it even more if you do a 24-hour water fast. By the end of the 24-hour period, you'll notice a considerable amount of growling in the stomach. And that growling seems to disappear when you eat, so I can see how people associated that with hunger. Now, I'm not exactly sure why that growling stops when you eat. There's theories on it because your body begins to detoxify, begins to move old waste and waste from yesterday and the day before. Then you eat, the blood goes from the lower intestines all the way to your stomach because it has to process the new food. I seem to agree with that, but experience always teaches me more than anything. So this growling, just to show you that it's not hunger. 2 things. You could try 2 things. You could wait out the growling, and then at some point you'll have a bowel movement. Now something magical happens after the bowel movement. The growling disappears. Like if, let's say, you're doing a 48-hour water fast or a juice cleanse, and you're having the growling and you're going to sleep, it's growling and it's like, it's a weird sensation. You just want to eat because, it's not really hunger, but you think you're hungry, and this belief gets reinforced because what happens when you eat is the growling stops because the blood goes from the lower intestines where it's trying to process the old stuff. It goes up to the stomach and it has to now digest the food. Okay, but you can try this for yourself. Let's say you go on 48 hours and the growling starts around the 16th hour. Let's say around the 30th hour or so you have a bowel movement. You'll notice after the bowel movement that growling significantly reduced, if not disappears. Why? That stuff your body was processing in the colon, in the intestines in the colon, is now out of you. You can try another thing. If you've got an enema, okay, when you get that growling and it's intensifying, go and do an enema, and something magical happens after the enema. The growling disappears. Folks, you have to try this. If you don't believe, you have to try this for yourself to know that is not hunger. That is not hunger. You have to try it for yourself. You have to experiment. How come when I do the enema, when you do the enema, let's say after the growling, let's say you're 24 hours in, you've got let's say the body, you're growling, you're hungry, but really what's happening, the body is processing food from the day before and the day before. Okay, it wants to get it out of the system, it's, backed up stuff. How come you do an enema, the growling disappears? Why? Because that's it. The waste left you, there's no more growling. So people, all kinds of people say, this is so common. After 3-4 days on a water fast or even a juice cleanse, but let's say a water fast for now, people say hunger disappears. It's not that hunger disappears, the growling disappears. Hunger doesn't disappear. You were never hungry to begin with in the first place. In fact, you probably never ever experienced hunger in your life. That growling, when people say, all kinds of people, if you're into fasting, I've experienced it myself. Longest I've gone was 7 days on water. I've experienced this myself. But I've watched a ton of videos by all kinds of people that have done all kinds of different fasting periods. And most of them will say, after day 3, day 4, I stopped being hungry. What they're saying is, my stomach stopped growling. That's what they're saying. because they probably in those few days, 3-4 days, have had some bowel movements. They've released that waste that's been building up from like the previous days of eating. They've probably released it, and now their stomach is not growling. From that point on, your stomach growls a little bit because your body is still processing old material, right? But because it's less in quantity, you still can experience, and you will experience, some growling between, let's say, day 3 and let's say day 7 or day 10. But it's insignificant. It's you feel it, but it's small. You don't associate it with hunger anymore, because it's not hunger. It never was hunger. So that's why you try this out. You know for a fact this is not hunger. This growling in the stomach is not hunger, because you do an enema, it's gone. The waste is gone. Growling is gone. Or you wait it out a few days, and then you have a few bowel movements, and the growling is gone. The hunger disappears. It didn't disappear. You never were hungry in the first place. Same thing with the thirst. Oh, you had something, and after 2 hours you're hungry. Actually, you're thirsty, especially if you had a dehydrating meal. Go have something to drink. Magically, the hunger is gone. The craving is gone, or let's say significantly reduced. Okay. Now, so all of that being said, this is another important point I'm about to make here. So human body, supposedly when we're born, we're 70% plus water in composition. And then as we grow older as adults, for some reason, there are explanations for this, for some reason, our body, our water content goes down from 70% to 60%, even 55 or something. Actually, that's because we live a dehydrating, acidic lifestyle. If you were to adopt a hydrating lifestyle and clean out your colon and your intestines and your body and the tissues and hydrate them, the hydration level in your body will increase, and it theoretically should go back to 70% plus, like a newborn. So, a rule of thumb, anything you eat, you want it to be over 70% in composition. That's a very solid rule of thumb. Anything you put in your mouth, theoretically, ideally, should be 70% plus. 70% plus, okay, in water. In order for you not to be constipated, because if that food is, let's say, less than that, it will constipate you at some level. It will take a lot longer to pass through the digestive tract, for instance. And a pineapple will pass through your system much quicker, like significantly quicker than dates, which have like what, 10 to 20% water, depending on the type of dates, right? The dates will take time. If you eat a lot of them, they're gonna constipate you. They're gonna back you up. Pineapple, if you have a cleaned out intestines, 8 hours, it's out of your system. You just, right? Same with papaya. Pineapple, papaya are 85 to 90% in water. Okay, so as a rule of thumb, you should be consuming things that are at least 70% in water. Even that is a little bit low. In my books, 80% seems like I have very good bowel movements. Everything is right on point. I'm not feeling constipated. Things are moving smoothly. It seems to be about 80% minimum, but 70% is a good rule of thumb. So, that leaves out most foods, basically. Because of course most foods aren't ready foods. Anything that dehydrates you is sucking life out of you. Now, because I do in this video want to cover the preferences of all, I want to talk about animal products, particularly meat. I'm not a fan of that if you watch these videos, but I'm gonna put it out there for you guys that still or do like to eat meat. I talked about the karmic consequences of it, health consequences in the past, etc. But doesn't matter. I'm on your side here in this video. Hear me out. So, raw meat contains about 75% water, depending on the meat type and everything. 75. When you cook it, 25% of the weight of the meat disappears because it's all water. You cook the water out of it, and basically you take a piece of raw meat. It goes from 75% in water down to 50 to 60, usually on the lower end of the 50s. So it constipates you, it causes all kinds of problems. It just goes there, it sits there. the raw meat it's gonna move easier through, and it's gonna leave you less thirsty, or if maybe not even thirsty after, or just slightly. Whereas you eat cooked meat, you're gonna be really thirsty, and that's even if you don't salt it. Salt's gonna make you even thirstier. Okay, so basically when you cooking in general, you're cooking the water out of something. And if you want to follow the rule of thumb and keep everything above 70%, you probably don't want to cook foods at all, actually. Okay, unless you were cooking broccoli. Broccoli's 90%. Okay, you cook it, maybe it goes down to 80, 75 at the very minimum. And I've tried this. Like when I eat, if I cook broccoli, mushrooms, zucchini, which are all 90% in water, yeah, the water is cooked out, but it takes them down from 90% in water to about 70 to 80%. I still have zero problem with bowel movements. If I eat steamed mushrooms, steamed broccoli, steamed anything with like 85 to 90% water, steamed zucchini, I love steamed zucchini, no problem, because even though you cook the water out of it, it only takes it down to about 80%. Maybe 70 at the very minimum, but I don't think 70. I think they still retain more water. So basically, like, unless you're gonna cook something that's already super high in water, you don't want to cook anything else. Because if, let's say, you cook if you cook bananas, bananas are about 73% in water, so that you're gonna bring them down to maybe 60. Not good. Bananas already, if you eat them, you notice at some level, if you eat too many of them, they can constipate you. If you eat like 7, 8 at a time, they can constipate you. They can. You know, if you eat too much, okay, 1, 2, it's not a problem. If you're eating high water content fruits and foods in general, and you have a cleaned out intestine, okay, it'll pass through. But other than that, you'll notice, like, there is definitely, if you eat too many of them, especially if your intestines aren't clean and you're eating other things that are low in water, they're gonna constipate you at some level. Okay, at some level, they're not gonna constipate you the same as a pack of chips. Okay, or things, you know, things that are just like, you know, bread's got what, 30%, 40% water in it. And now I'm not even talking about the other problems of some of these foods. Like bread, it isn't just the low water, but, you know, there is, you know, the gluten and the phytic acid. There's so many problems. Okay, I'm not talking about that right now. We're focusing more on the water aspect. I'm not gonna talk about the enzymes that you kill from cooking the food. Okay, just we're focusing here. This is a water focused video. All right, so as a rule of thumb, you want to eat things that are at least minimum 70% in water. Okay, trust me, things will be smoother on the toilet. The higher the better. Papayas, pineapples, melons, they just pass through like it's nothing because they're mostly water. Cucumbers, 95% water. They just pass through like it's nothing. Okay, they just go in a short, much shorter period of time. Things that leave you feeling thirsty after you ate them, probably shouldn't be ever eating those, or rarely, occasions, like your birthday and your friend's birthday and something like that. Okay, there's certain foods just, yeah, you know, I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? Your body's 70% water. It doesn't want anything lower than that. It disturbs the equilibrium. The body now has to suck its own water. So basically anything less than 70% in composition is sucking the life out of you, because what is life on plain earth? Life is made up of water and the sun, right? Think about it. When you have a piece of fruit, when you have a handful of grapes, you have in your hands water, okay, 80%, 82% grapes. You have in your hands water and carbohydrates through photosynthesis from the sun. Those are the two things that life needs: the sun, photons, photosynthesis, light, and water. So when something sucks either the light out of you or the water out of you, it sucks the life out of you. You see? And yeah, just to conclude this, again, you and I mean, even I've done 7-day water fast, I never was hungry. Okay, I never was hungry. I prepared well. I prepared for it well, did some good cleaning in the intestines before. Didn't really have much growling in the stomach. And anytime I felt thirsty, because your body's detoxifying, you feel thirsty, I drink, I'm not hungry. I did not experience hunger on those 7 days. Cravings, yes, but cravings come and go, but I did not experience hunger. So chances are you're watching this, you probably never experienced hunger, and maybe never ever will. But what you're experiencing definitely on a regular basis, on a daily basis, is thirst. Thirst. Okay, and remember the growling. You have to do this for yourself. Either go on 3 days water, growling is gone, had a few bowel movements, or do an enema when you have the growling, it's gone. The growling is gone. What happened there? Or you drink and it's gone. What's going on? Because you're thirsty. You never were hungry. Okay? So there you go. My sincere gratitude goes to our generous donors. Thank you guys for your generosity. If you feel a calling and urge to support the channel in this way, there's a link down below in the description where you can make donations. And I also have one-on-one consulting services. There's a link down below in the description as well if you're interested. And I'll see you guys in the next video.